So I guess we might open it to the floor initially, if there's anyone has any questions for anyone. Feel free to, so just, you'll have to voice it out. We don't have a microphone, so the first question here.
Yeah, you're Brendan from Dalux. The LCA stuff, obviously one of the biggest factors is time, how long the asset lasts. You know, it lasts twice as long, it's twice as that's 60 years. Where does that come from? And how realistic is it? You know, what's the why 60 years is that?
It's 50 years for European projects. It comes from EN 15978, which is the European standard. You know, so that's the study period is given. Everyone has to work to the same figures. In the UK, it's different. It's 6 years.
But that's the calculation. But the reality,
yeah,
what are we actually seeing building life cycle?
Look, it varies. You know, there's buildings in London that are built and taken down within 15 years. You know, depending. So it can vary, but you have to stick to a standard so that everything is compared. Yeah.
Follow up to it is, would it make sense for there to be incentives to make buildings last longer, to design, you know, pension funds to invest in that will last longer? Is that something that should be looked at? You know, you spoke to me about internal stuff, but changing the interior of a restaurant, surely if you can encourage to do that in 10 years, rather than 5 years, breaking the back of that future, is that something that considered in this area?
It's starting to be. It's particularly like with all the work we did with the circular economy report. That's going to be a big factor in that, in terms of making interiors, is more Leah's area, but making them more durable, having building components as a service, you know, things like that to make them last longer. But
I suppose if you have the right certifications from the start, you kind of hope that they should last longer and it'll be more efficient in the long run, so you'll be less likely. But in terms of cafes and restaurants, the reason they change so much is also just because of trends and fashion and all that. So that's a whole other aspect really to it. I suppose it depends if you're talking about a cafe or a hospital or a school. Like, they have totally different approaches to how often they're going to be refurbished.
Thanks for that, Brendan. Anyone else like to ask a question here today? Yeah, there's one right there. If you want to maybe just say where you're from as well, and then ask your question nice and loud.
Oh, yeah, my name is Eugene. I'm from CitA Bolton. I just wanted to be very sure of the information you gave about the ICMS. Say it has already been mandated from January 2023.
correct.
Yeah, and I don't know if it has a timeline for its implementation based on the BIM mandate for state, because I know that the BIM mandate was also ensuring that SNS should be used.
Yeah.
In most of the public projects. And what happens if some of projects currently being undertaken, there's no use of the current ICMS, like you said. I don't know if there's further timeline for its implementation.
Yeah, I mean, it's from the 1st of January. It's on the Office of Government Procurement website that all projects from stage 1A should be using ICMS 3 from the 1st of January. In terms of the BIM mandate, I would see the ICMS 3 and the BIM mandate being separate. So it's ICMS 3 is a reporting format which, you know, reports figures to government departments on a consistent basis, so the OGP can compare costs of different building typologies between different jurisdictions to ensure value for money is being achieved.
Specifically for public projects?
Specifically for public projects, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, did you try using any other software apart from Cospets that with any other software that might have incorporated the sort of circular economy?
Sorry, software is incorporated?
May possibly incorporate measurements.
Yeah, I mean, there's
sustainability.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's other software like where Qubit and there's probably others, but we've been using Costex for 14 years. I've been using it for myself for longer, so that's the case. We've optimized it for our own practice, so that's what we use.
Thanks for that. Excellent. Any other questions there from the floor at the moment?
Just a question for
Or,
me.
Go back to Ben and after.
Thank you, sorry. Just the calculation, the auto gen of the calculation, that I suppose it depends on the building type.
Yeah.
What results you get, and it's restricted because it only works with EED,
Well, what I did in my research is I used a healthcare example.
right?
So it's a lot of like standardized medical equipment. That's quite repetitive across the project and across different projects. So I was able to source the typical EPDs for that and use that. But if you were to try and do that now, looking at different cafes, you'll have many more different types of products. Like, every cafe will have different types of chairs and taps and this and that, whereas in healthcare, it's a lot more repetitive.
Could this be simplified by modern methods of construction?
I mean, probably. You could also like just apply a typical value, if you do kind of an average, or if you work that way, that would probably work for cafes and restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brendan, would you like to come in again?
Yeah, sorry, Ross. Obviously the pharma industry, it's like they're so forwardly instructed they can do things quicker than anyone else because it's all about getting floor eggs to the line.
Yeah.
So how much of the design, how much sustainability do you think is considered in that? And what's the governance of it?
There is, I suppose, like I was saying there has been maybe 5-6 years ago, not so much.
Yeah.
But now very, very strong, as in huge, there's a huge emphasis on it. It obviously differs a little bit from client to client, but like recently on a large project, some of the KPIs, so some of, let's say, what you would bill, whether it's bonus or not, was like 50% of that was based on your sustainability performance. And I suppose we now have gone from 1-2 people or whatever up to like 20-30 people working in sustainability. So every project not just has somebody as a token, whatever, a few people. Now this is like we have 2, 3, 4 people working on every project all the time. So it's definitely it's a big thing now. Yeah, it's and this is integral, like I suppose what I said there with the procurement element. So it's not just that, okay, of course, when you buy a air handling unit, you just get the A-rated one, or, but it's more heat pumps that you're using now, electric boilers, not steam boilers, where the electricity is coming from. And then especially on procurement, so that we have a document every single time you want to buy something, the vendor gets like, well, you need to comply with all of this, so it's now integrally involved with every aspect of it. Of course, there's some paybacks in some of this, if your electric boilers are going to cost you an absolute fortune, then they might go with them, or if their steam is easy, but as in it's a integral part of it. Yeah.
Excellent. Any final questions for any of the speakers? Okay. So,
One more time, sorry, I know.
yeah.
It's dominating, but the course to do the Irish annex to the 19650, are you gonna change the course to that? Or not? Is that?
Yeah, so I guess like what the fundamental principle, what we're trying to do with our students is we just give them the principles initially, like changing the full course, the annex, possibly not. Maybe in time we'll see, like, but I guess, yeah, for the immediate future, it's more the principles of BIM, the technologies, the workflows, the familiarity with the different softwares. That's more the focus.
Yeah.
Like it's a never-ending journey with BIM, as you know. CPD is a continual part of your development as you go forward. So like having to upskill in those little areas afterwards, we would see that as not part of the course, you're continually having to do that, whether it's disruptive technologies or new annexes to the process itself. So thanks for that.
Just an observation, all the presentations were excellent. I've heard loads this morning. Ross, your presentation was talking predominantly about IPD, and like, there hasn't been much talk about that really, but it seems to make a lot of sense, doesn't it? To work with integrated project delivery, because presumably you've got collaborative contracts there. You're sharing the risk and the reward, you've early contractor involvement, you know, you've got lean principles, you're using BIM, you're using offsite. Why is it that in construction we don't use IPD? You know, because it makes a lot of sense that you can see as QS, I can see the budget tightening, you know, from 50 to 30 to 10. You're getting really precision before you actually get the site. Any observation from that?
Yeah, like as in part of the reason that it wouldn't be is that let's say the contractors that are civil, mechanical, etc.
Yeah.
Especially on the mechanical and electrical, they don't have the skills basically. So that even though, you know, for the most part, construction contractors, like, just give us the design, we'll do what we're good at, which is building. So if you bring them back into design, this is a whole different, you know.
Would you have a GC on that project, a general contractor, or like what's your role?
No, it will be, so it would still be the kind of, let's say, if we take a Jacobs, like Jacobs would be doing the design.
Right.
But you would maybe bring it up to a certain point, let's say 50-60% or something like that.
Right.
And then after a certain review, maybe the 60% review that I talked about, it would be, okay, well, if the client is happy with that, then you hand it over to the
Innovate to the contractor.
contractors.
But is that multiple contractors or is there one GC?
No, it would be multiple contractors.
Right.
But
But this is where the likes of Mercury and
Yeah.
Dawn and where they learned the skills.
yeah, it will be, and so like, there's different depending on, you know, in Ireland, like for example, the sprinklers, it's always done design build. So like, it's not done by any, let's say, people that you've mentioned there. It's kind of a very specific contract. Sprinklers, they will do all the design in the model and they'll build it. Yeah, but that's not the case with if you're talking about mechanical or HVAC or whatever. So it's more the fact that for now, some of the bigger contractors in Ireland, they do part of the design, but you know, their teams are not very big. So it's just a case of course, a lot of times they say they do it, but then when you get into it, what they've done is basically, yeah, we'll do it, but they've already subcontracted it out to somebody else. So you're not actually getting H.A. O'Neill's doing the mechanical. They actually subcontracted out to somebody else, which is not, I suppose, what you originally want, you know.
Yeah. Thank you, Ross. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Sean. And we are under time. What time did we finish? Well, 2 minutes, okay. So maybe I'd like to spring things to a goal. See, the last time we were in Cork, what I could see was 25th of February 2020. Mercury surveys, Arrow, and IPPT. But did that event go ahead? I'm not sure. You know, something happened very close to that. It's great to be back in Cork. Great lineup of speakers this morning. It was nice to get 4 perspectives, you know, from educators to architects to engineers to surveyors, how I suppose the industry is transforming, how the next generation of construction professions need to really work much more smartly with digital and sustainability. Thank you to all our sponsors we see down on the right side, one of which is in the room today, Brandon from Dalux. Thank you, Dan, DIT, Everest, Living Speed, NSAI, and because NSAI are also represented. We appreciate your support. This is second of, I think it's 2 or 4 regional events we've had this year. So we've been announcing the other 2 regional events post the summer, if not prior to the summer. And we hope to go maybe further northwest and maybe southeast. And we really do enjoy these regional events. And you know, it means we're getting back to near normal when it comes to in-person events. And we had a successful program last year with a very successful digital skills event series in Dublin. But it's really, really important that we come to the regions. And we're doing an awful lot of training at the moment. And CitA SkillNet is a phenomenal success. As you can see the figures there, over 2,300 training days so far. We can help companies reduce their training spend by up to 40%. Now, obviously, you talked to Daria and Suzanne about the specifics of that, but we are doing really, really well in that area. And of course, training and upskilling is kind of the key to transformation, bringing their people on a journey. And we'll be going further West in October. And we're having our signature event is the AI event, AI in construction, the next frontier for Irish construction. So what this simply is about, and Leah spoke about it this afternoon. She talked about AutoGen, or Gen AI, with Revit creating, you know, these embodied carbon results and so forth. So what we're talking here about is really simulating human intelligence by machines that are programmed to think and learn like humans. So, you know, there's a lot of kind of rhetoric around AI in every sector. We hear it on the radio every morning. People like KPMG or have just launched a new initiative called Gen AI. So this is rapidly evolving. There's breakthroughs happening, and they talk about it revolutionizing the industry, and it will. So we're looking at 3 dimensions in October: people, process, and technology. And we're going to have about 6-8 keynotes, but we're inviting you to speak at this event. So I can see some potential speakers here in front of me that might present on AI and construction. How can we better, say, automate what we do to free us up to do more added value tasks? So certainly, I think what Leah spoke about today, that would be a good fit for the event. And I'm sure there's some research taking place shown into you.
Certainly,
I
yeah.
know I was in Limerick yesterday, and I read a number of pieces in final year, and was a D for them on AI. And it's, you know, this is important. So we'd love to see you on the 9th of October. We will be inviting you, just like clicking on to the event site. There'll be a simple Microsoft form. You fill it in, your name, who you work for, email address, and what you'd like to speak about. And, you know, it'd be great to hear from the researchers, the educators, the architects, the engineers, surveyors, project managers, you know, for so more about that. So thank you so much for taking the time and joining us this morning, and we hope that we'll be back again soon. Thank you.